Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. And I'm your host today, Chris Santamassimo, excited to be on site in Roselle, Illinois with Danny Sweem, who's the CEO of M&amp Printing Equipment. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
The facility is huge, 330,000 square feet, right?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, of a facility that manufactures lots of equipment and as well as parts and service for the apparel decorating industry. So I'd love to hear a little bit about M&R and your experience, how you came here about 8 years ago, and take it away from there.
Sure, I'll be happy to share my story with you a little bit, and more importantly, the story of M&R. M&R, we are on our 41st year in business. It was founded in 1985 by a gentleman by the name of Rich Hoffman, who was my predecessor, who tapped me, to come and succeed him about 8 years ago as the CEO of the company. Rich really started as a bootstrap the business with an idea of developing technologies, primarily screen print technologies to decorate with, most predominantly in the textile space, but also decorating paper and materials for the graphic screen industry. Back in that era, most all of the garments were screen printed or embroidered. That's generally how it basically, outservice your competition, develop the best technologies possible, provided the best value possible. So service after the sale was a huge part of his mindset. He had worked several years in a variety of different roles in a very kind of labor-intensive sort of roles. Worked his way up with one of our, since departed competitors now in the Chicago area that made screen printing equipment, and said, I have a better idea on how to do this. And so broke away, started it. The stories go is that he went to a very trade show in his overalls in Houston, Texas, and lo and behold, took more orders than he could possibly imagine, and the company was off and rolling. So he started that. We were very fortunate and blessed with the opportunity to have a lot of what I would truly Eastern European immigrants come in. Chicago is an area full of lots of transplants, particularly Polish and Eastern Europe engineers and technologists that migrated over in the late 80s, in early 90s, post the wall coming down. And they contributed on a very cerebral level to just accelerate his vision and turn these technologies into best state-in-the-art sort of equipment. And quickly grew to a level of certainly having the single largest position for screen print decorating equipment in the Americas for sure. Expanded into Poland at one point in 2007. I believe we opened up a factory there. We still maintain that operation. In fact, my COO, Mike Druin, is there right now. That's who just tried to call me. So we have operations there, and we're seeing a lot of growth in that area. But the industry has certainly changed. I joined the company after working a number of years. I had my start was in the late 80s. I had a couple sporting goods stores as a young guy in South Carolina, where I'm from. And we added screen print in one of the stores. And that's where I really got my appetite and developed a fondness for the decorating process. And really, the retail game humbled me quite a lot. I learned a lot of tough lessons there that I apply to business today. It is. Yeah, I have a lot of admiration for those in the retail space and understanding, and things have evolved and changed, but it really gave me a foundation to really understand how these garments, where they go after you get them decorated, and how the retailers have to think. And so that gave me a really strong, background on what they go through, and then also the decorating process. And so from there, moved into a company called Rutland and worked my way up through the organization to executive management level for a number of years. I spent a little bit of time working for a large decorator in Charleston, South Carolina. They did a lot of work for some of the key brands at the time that were very popular. So I also understood the industry from a decorator standpoint at a very large institutional level. And at that time, there was a lot of offshoring. This is around the NAFTA era. Kicking into place, so develop relationships in markets where labor is a lot less expensive. Central America, spent a lot of time in Central America, Mexico, South America, Turkey, Egypt, and places such as that. So my international experience grew through that. Then accepted a job with the largest distributor for textile decoration in the world, or certainly in the Americas, a company called NASDAR. I worked there for 9 years and worked my way up to executive management level there. And then was tapped to come to M&R in 2018 by Mr. Hoffman to lead the organization. And so we've seen lots of changes in the industry. I think it's been more rapid with the changes, with e-com and digital means of decorating now as opposed to screen print. So we no longer see ourselves as just a screen print equipment manufacturer. We are very prominent in digital decoration means now, whether it be direct-to-garment, DTG, large industrial platforms for that, and also now direct-to-film, which is also a very popular, fast-growing means of decorating apparel. So we play in a lot of different fields now, and it's about a third. We do about a third of our revenues derived from screen print technologies, down from 95% just 8 years ago, and given way to these digital technologies, which have really grown quite a lot. So we saw a lot of consumables associated with digital decoration, with inks and film and things like that we never had before. My distribution experience has helped us with some of that. And then and the equipment itself. So we're doing a lot more sourcing from other markets, other parts of the world, bringing in technologies, modifying that technology, painting it blue, and getting into the space, and then service and supporting that. And we're thankful that we have the opportunity to work with some of the smallest printers in the world and some of the largest brands in the world.
You really got a product line that spans the gamut.
Yeah, we do. And again, the good fortune of working with some of the largest sports brands or fashion brands, in the world, have really tapped our expertise and our good customers and friends to the M&R family. So we're very, very blessed in that way.
Well, those companies expect near perfection, and they've got high volumes, but they also want the quality of doing a one-off piece, and you're able to really service all of that.
Yeah, completely. We are a little obsessive. We're proud of when we tell people we're not the cool kids. We really spend more of our time and energy and money, quite honestly, investing into improving the technology and the service and support behind it, rather than the sizzle with marketing. I think we probably could grow a little bit and do a little bit better in our branding and getting the message out than we do. But we're just so focused on and passionate about trying to make the best equipment possible and servicing our customers, so that generally when we get a customer, they don't leave. They just buy more M&R equipment through the years, and that's really been a strong piece of our growth story. So,
yeah, the sort of the shiniest toy isn't necessarily the best performer, so to speak, right, over time, especially when it comes to service and support.
That's right. And doing, I'm a strong believer, and many of my mentors, that I respect the most, really believe the same thing, is that, you got to have courage to dive in and do the right things at the toughest moments. And I'm proud to say that our people represent that to me. We try to adhere to that and try to provide that to our customers. So, again, we're very proud of our track record in supporting customers. We had one of the most flattering comments I think I've had since we've been here at M&R. Just recently, one of the largest executives at a brand made a reference about M&R to another customer of ours and said, when those boys paint something blue, they certainly stand behind it, and that's why you go blue. And that's kind of a theme that we use in our marketing is, blue is a big color for us. That's our color theme, and we encourage people to go blue.
It's a special blue too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little bit different from everybody else's blue, I've noticed.
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, I will tell you, I believe it was probably patterned after Chicago Cubs or Los Angeles Dodgers. The company has some connection to both of those baseball teams in some way. I think Peter Seidler, which was a kind of a silent partner of Rich for a number of years as he was building the company up. Peter Seidler was of the family that owned the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Walter O'Malley Brooklyn Dodgers. I think the Seidlers now today own the San Diego Padres. but they're deeply involved in baseball. I being, as you just look around my office, you see lots of sports memorabilia, and I'm a huge sports guy, and happen to have fallen in love with the Cubs. So I like to refer to it as Cubs blue more than I do Dodger blue, but I think there's some commonality in both colors. So.
For sure. Yeah. And what's interesting about your portfolio is you're able to empower the small guy as well as the big industrial or big commercial customer. But that's a tough act to follow when you've got such a wide brand portfolio. How do you manage that, especially as you see more and more where technology means something, where people are looking for the latest and greatest technology?
Yeah, it's a good question you're asking. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that many of the people that are the big guys today started very small. I mean, so the barrier of entry to get into the screen print industry back when I was younger, it was very easy, right? It wasn't a massive investment. It was more, you bought a few pieces of equipment, very small investment, and you put some, energy into it. You had some creativity about you, and the next thing you know, you're decorating T-shirts, and there's a demand. I mean, we like to say, I regularly remind people that, printed T-shirt or sweatshirt is your personal billboard. It's a form of expression, and as humans are, we like to represent our baseball teams, our religious beliefs in some cases, our political affiliations, the concert that we just went to last weekend, and it's a way to brand. It's a part of your personality. So that's going to persist. What we say though regularly, what I believe strongly, is that printed garments are going to be out there. If you're a University of South Carolina, which is I'm a proud Gamecock, or a University of Georgia Bulldog. You go to a football game on a Saturday, you like to wear your uniform. You would like to represent, the tribal part of it. So garment decoration will remain. It's how it's decorated and where it's decorated. That's what generally changes. Right. And we have to stay in front of the how's it going to be decorated, and then where, the geography piece of it. It seems to be a very migratory sort of industry, has been since I've been a part of it. And we have to stay in front of that and make sure that we're positioned well. And so the small printers, in some cases, do extremely well at certain times, but they have to morph and adjust as well. There's new technology with direct-to-film that seems to be displacing small mom-and-pop screen print decorators with small mom-and-pop digital decorators. And they grow. They turn into big operations down the road. And they're often the most passionate about the craft, which is one of the things that I love. Right? Is the passion. A little bit of art, a little bit of science, a little bit of... Yeah, it's where, I also declare, Roselle, Illinois, which is where we're headquartered, is the intersection where creativity and engineering, come together, and they work really well together. And that's how we see ourselves.
Impressive. Yeah. What do you see coming down the pipe in the next, year or two? I know that M&R is heavily investing in robotics. You're supporting print on demand and customization businesses that are doing high volume, but one at a time. You talk a little bit about where you think the company is going to go in the foreseeable future from a technology standpoint. Yeah,
so back to the theme of how it's decorated and where it's decorated. Listen, the most popular two letters in the alphabet these days are A and I, right? So AI is certainly a big part of our game as well, and we're working with AI and robotics groups out of Silicon Valley right now to help develop technologies that will further automate the processes. Labor's not cheap. We're seeing the migratory level back to where it's decorated because of the online, the need to fulfill orders very quickly to customers, the geography of certain corridors that allow you service a customer within 24 to 48 hours after an order is placed. Where that garment's decorated, it's very difficult for somebody to service from Guangzhou, China, to the United States, or even for that matter, certain parts of the Middle East or South America. So more and more decorating is happening in situ, close to large metropolitan areas in the United States, but those are generally high rent districts. Labor's very expensive. So, to automate those processes using AI and robotics is a big part of the ground game that we're involved in now. We just made a transaction recently with a very large decorating operation in the Southeast that has 20 of our screen print presses, and now they're incorporating digital presses because the run sizes are so much smaller. They have to serve a market very quickly, and the number of humans that are involved in the process to decorate a T-shirt per T-shirt is about 11 humans that touch that. With the digital, it goes down to about 6 or 7 humans. So there's a lot of benefits if you're going to decorate in very high rent areas and you're having very small runs. To automate those laborious processes is a big part of our story. That's where we're heading. Machinery that actually thinks and communicates. I describe, and this is not some far off sort of vision, but this is something very near term, is that when you hire an employee, it's very seasonal sometimes. Lots of business is conducted in the last 6 weeks of the year around holidays, so they bring in all this workforce very quickly to handle burst capacity needs in the last 6 months, 2 months of the year, and then they don't need them after the busy season slows down. The equipment needs to, in many cases, teach the operator how to operate it rather than the operator is trained how to run the machinery. Mm-hmm. And that is what we're working on, and we have evidence of being able to do that effectively. And that's where AI kind of comes in, and the analytics piece of this. So.
Just getting somebody up and running could be hours instead of days.
Training,
right?
Yeah, we use this. I use an analogy. If someone left their job yesterday at Walgreens at 5 p.m. and they started at this apparel decorating location this morning at 8 o'clock, 2 hours after their HR onboarding process, by noon they're actually contributing to the operation immediately. Where when you have technology that actually is working with the individual that's operating, rather than a process of apprenticeship and going through a detailed sort of layer, you don't have the luxury of time to be able to do that. So the equipment itself has to be able to play a role in that.
Do you think that screen printing will remain a piece of the technology portfolio for the foreseeable years?
Completely, yeah. It completely will. When you're doing very large production runs, back to the example of, say, University of Georgia Bulldog fans, you go to Sanford Stadium. If you're an SEC fan like I am, there's 90,000 crazy people. They all want to dress alike. So there's a big production run for 5,000, 10,000 piece runs of the same garment. They like to wear that. It's a very efficient way to decorate, the most efficient way to decorate large batches. Where digital really comes into play is small individual runs of 36 pieces, 24 pieces, 2 pieces. And that is, serving an online space. You don't have massive amounts of inventory you have to sell through, and you're building to order and delivering very quickly. And so that's where the digital piece goes in. But where screen print is going to remain is large production runs, which will continue to exist. And the ability, we do see trends coming back where, fashion plays a role. Special effects sort of decorations with relief and glitters and things like that.
The embellishment that you might find on a rigid piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that's unique that really can only, today, really only be done successfully in a screen environment. If a fashion trend takes off, and I've been a part of that and been in the middle of those before, it kind of is a weather system unto itself, right? It just takes off. The demand is ridiculous. And then screen printing is more of a craft. So those guys who really understand screen print really well, print it at a very high level and can do these special effects, they command a lot of revenue for those. It's very profitable for them. And there's scarcity. There's not a lot of people that know how to do that. We do foresee that's going to come back at some point. It generally, fashion does change, and it goes in cycles, though. These are less paradigm shifts and more retro looks come back, and we're due for one of those trends to happen soon.
But you're able to handle both of them. The quick fad that goes up and down really quickly, and also the ones that hang around for a while.
100%. Yeah, I mean that's what we've tried to build as a company that participates in all the really 4 different decoration categories now, whereas as opposed to just one. That we focus on only. I wish it were that easy. It's not. We have to be able to walk and chew bubble gum, and we have guys that are really what we refer to as more wrench turners and more, in the older era of decoration where there's craft and adjustments, and then you're dealing with, these younger people that in many cases were gamers. They understand the technical aspects of it, and they're brilliant young people. I mean, I'm so blessed to show up every day and work with some of these young people that just blow my mind as far as how they think and how they approach it. Right? They're wired totally differently. I can't keep up with these guys, but man, I'm certainly lucky to be a part of their team. That's a fun part of our business.
Well, besides coming here to Roselle, Illinois, where can folks come check out M&R?
Well, you certainly you visit us on our website, www.mrprint.com. We've got a full online store as well. We also work with our distributors. We have a very a global distribution network. Next week at this time, we'll be in Spain exhibiting in Barcelona at the FESPA International Show. So we attend a lot of the regional trade shows and national trade shows and international trade shows. So you can reach us, and of course, either through our distribution network, you can find a list of those on our website. You can contact us directly at M&R as well. We'd be happy to talk to any customer at any time. We have a full staff of people that help guide and solve problems on behalf of the customers when they encounter those challenges.
Fantastic. Danny, thank you so much for a great introduction to M&R.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Or maybe a reintroduction is the best way to put it. So.
Yeah, it's very good to have you in our building today. It's good to see you, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your people.
Well, this has been Danny Sweem, the CEO of M&R Printing here in Roselle, Illinois. And I'm Chris Santamassimo, today's host of the Think Factory podcast. We'll see you next time.